Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal 123 based on novel. So let's start. This seventh sound was very different from the first six. There seemed to be a killing intent hidden deep within it. Mofay's always calm face changed for the first time, and without any hesitation, he quickly backed up. As he backed up, the armor on his body exploded into ashes and dissipated. Mofay's face was somewhat pale, but he stopped his body, let out a roar, and charged out once more. This time his hand formed seals, and strands of energy came out from his body, forming a crystal-like mirror that circled around him. He hit the drum with his finger and the demon drum rang once more. This was the 8th time. An even more violent backlash rushed at Mofay, causing all of the crystal mirrors around him to shatter. However, even though the mirrors weakened the force by a lot, when it landed on Mofay's body, it still caused him to retreat more than 1,000 feet before he stabilized himself. His mask completely shattered, revealing his handsome face. Wang Lin's eyes immediately narrowed as he stared at Mofay's eyes. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with a mysterious light. This appearance. Wang Lin was able to recognize at a glance that this person looked exactly the same as the black-haired man in the depths of Hong Prison. At this moment, Mofay's body trembled, and he forcibly swallowed the blood that had rushed to his mouth. Then he took a deep breath before turning around and walking toward the demon generals. At this moment, loud cheers came from the square. This sound was extremely loud and seemed to overshadow everything else. Mofay, the number one among demon generals. For him to be able to ring it 8 times, Mofay is number one below the commander-in-chief. This time Mofay will definitely become a vice-commander-in-chief. He has many military exploits, and once he becomes a vice-commander-in-chief, he will definitely achieve many military victories for our Sky Demon country. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief was still calm and showed no sign of being impressed, while the other 7 Commander-in-Chiefs all revealed deep looks of admiration for Mofay's talent. For this child to be able to ring it 8 times, he can be considered a genius among geniuses. Good. That's right. From my observations, this child doesn't seem to be using his full force. If he really tries, he might be able to ring it a 9th time. To be so cunning at such a young age is extremely rare. The Vice-Commander-in-Chiefs were also talking to each other. The Yellow Vice-Commander-in-Chief smiled at the Shen Vice-Commander-in-Chief and said, "Are you still not going to admit defeat?" The Shen Vice-Commander-in-Chief let out a snort and said, with a firm tone, "This Mofay is strong, very strong. I was not as strong as him when I was his age. It can even be said that once he goes through the baptism at the Dragon Lake, he will be even stronger than me. But compared to the person I chose, Mofay is still not enough." The Yellow Vice-Commander-in-Chief originally didn't care too much about this wager, but seeing the Shen Vice-Commander-in-Chief, who was equal in strength to him, constantly praising this person was strange. He had a vague feeling that this was no longer praise, because he could almost hear fear in the Shen Vice-Commander-in-Chief's voice. He couldn't help but be extremely shocked. The Yellow Vice-Commander-in-Chief faintly smiled and said, "Good, then I want to see how many times this person can ring the drum." The Shen Vice-Commander-in-Chief pondered as he looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression. He thought to himself, Mofay is merely strong, while this Wang Lin is terrifying. Can you compare strong and terrifying? The golden-armored man watched Mofay walk back into the crowd of demon generals. His eyes were filled with admiration for Mofay's talent, and for the first time he smiled. Demon General Mofay's helper, come out. A green-robed cultivator with a giant sword on his back came out. It felt like he was a sword when he was standing there. The moment he stepped out, he turned into a cloud of green smoke and charged at the demon drum. At the moment he closed in on the demon drum, his hand formed a seal and he pointed at the void, causing the drum to beat once. Then his hand turned into a palm, he chanted a complex chat, and slammed forward, causing the drum to beat once more. The fierce backlash caused his face to turn slightly pale, but he didn't retreat. Instead, he grabbed the sword on his back and swung down. A ray of sword energy cut through the backlash and drum beat before landing on the drum. The drum echoed once more. After the 3rd ring, the cultivator's face was extremely pale from the powerful force rushing at him. Every time he hit the drum, He suffered backlash several times stronger than the previous hit. He let out a wry smile before backing off without any hesitation and no longer tried to hit it. With my cultivation, 3 times is easy. If I really give it my all, 4 times is possible. If I tried to go for the 5th time, I would be seriously injured. Mofay's victory is already set, so it is really not worth it to get seriously injured because of him. The green-robed cultivator pondered a bit and walked back into the crowd. 11 times. Mofay and his helper were able to ring it a total of 11 times. This result caused the expressions of a lot of the demon generals to darken. To beat this score, the demon generals and their helpers would have to ring it 6 times each. However, this was an almost impossible task. After all, among all the demon generals, there was only one Mofay. Even Molahai's face was extremely pale. He bitterly looked at the demon drum and then at Wang Lin with a gloomy expression. He let out a sigh and whispered, "Brother Wang, forget it. We lost this 2nd round." There was another person among the demon generals, Shi Xiao. His face was dark as he stared at the demon drum and asked, "Chen Dao, how many times can you ring it?" Chen Dao pondered a bit and said, "If I was at full strength, I could ring it more than 10 times. I don't know the exact amount. However, now, even with the pill, I can only ring it 7 times, which is not more than Mofay. This Mofay is extremely strong. In the cultivation world, he can be considered number 1 below the ascendant stage. Even ascendant cultivators would need to be at the mid-stage to be a match for him." Shi Xiao revealed killing intent as he looked at Mofay, who had closed his eyes to cultivate after turning and letting out a cold snort. Aside from them, there were several people among the demon generals that were calculating how many times they could beat the drums and their chances of entering the top 10. The golden-armored man coldly looked at the crowd. His eyes contained ridicule as he pointed at Wang Lin and slowly said, "You, come out." Wang Lin calmly arrived at the top of the square. His eyes were like lightning as he looked at the golden-armored man and calmly said, "I'm not called you, my name is Wang Lin." The golden-armored man didn't hide the killing intent in his eyes and said, "Wang Lin, do you dare to bet with me?" Wang Lin said, "Speak. I bet that you can't beat the drum 5 times. If you can, then I'll personally recommend you to the Demon Emperor and guarantee you will at least get the position of Demon General. But if you lose, you will have to take responsibility for injuring a Demon General. If you don't dare to bet, then scram off this stage and get the hell out of Sky Demon City. You are not welcome here." After the golden-armored man finished speaking, sounds of discussions filled the area. Beat it 5 times. Although this foreigner beat AODI, ringing this drum is a true test. At most I think he can ring it 3 times, and that's already considered pretty good. That AODI at most can only ring it once. AODI is only considered mid-tier among demon generals. Shi Xiao, Mofay, Yu Sen, and many others can easily win against him. Wang Lin beating AODI doesn't mean much. The Golden Chief Steward is interesting to make a bet with this foreigner. The Yellow Vice Commander-in-Chief smiled at the Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief and said, "The person you chose seems to have some bad luck." Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief looked at Wang Lin before letting out a snort and saying, "The Golden Chief Steward will experience a big surprise." Wang Lin calmly looked at the golden-armored man and gradually revealed a faint smile. However, when this faint smile landed in the Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief's eyes, he couldn't help but feel a chill. The Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief clenched his teeth and thought, "He also smiled like this when he attacked me back then." Wang Lin faintly smiled. "I don't need you to recommend me to the Demon Emperor." The golden-armored man revealed contempt and said, "You don't dare to bet." Wang Lin's voice was like the cold wind from the 9th level of hell. "I want one of your hands." This sentence caused everyone to be shocked. Just at this moment, Wang Lin stepped toward the demon drum. The golden-armored man revealed a hint of killing intent in his eyes and smiled. "If you can ring it more than 5 times, I'll give you a hand. Hell, if you can ring it 10 times, I'll give you both my hands. No problem." This Wang Lin is simply too arrogant. I'm afraid he is overestimating himself. How can ringing this drum be that simple? When this person experiences the backlash from the demon drum, he will know just how wrong he is. This is unfortunate for Mo Lihai. I'm afraid that because of this person, He will have no face for the next 300 years. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he walked toward the demon drum. He walked very calmly and stopped right before the demon drum. He didn't try to beat the drum from far away to lessen the force of the backlash. After arriving directly below the demon drum, Wang Lin floated into the air. Looking at the huge demon drum, it was as if he could feel a faint, fishy smell from it. The surface of this drum wasn't smooth like a mirror and instead had many concave points and subtle veins. It was just like a piece of hide from a monster. Skin of the ancient demon. Wang Lin stretched out his right hand and touched the demon drum. When he touched it, he felt waves of force pushing back at him. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. At this moment, all of the life seals gathered on his body. More than 3,000 life seals completely surrounded him. Bet that I can hit it more than 5 times. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and took out a wine jug. The wine jug was filled with wine. He grabbed it with his left hand and took a big gulp, then he smiled. Lord Golden Armor, watch carefully. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal and then punched at the demon drum. Dong. The sound of the drum echoed across the square and the sky like rolling thunder. Wang Lin's body didn't move at all as he withdrew his fist 3 inches, and right after he did so, he punched once more. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Dong. 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 4 times in a row. These 4 rings from the drum came out at the same time, caught up to the first ring, and silently fused together. It created this storm of sound that spread wildly with the demon drum as the center. The square began to shatter inch by inch as if there was a giant earth dragon moving underneath it. In the sky, the thunder created by the drum became even more powerful. Countless people in the stands coughed out blood as they directly suffered serious internal injuries from this 5-in-1 drum beat. There were even several people that were completely knocked unconscious by the sound. Aside from the Heaven Commander-in-Chief, the remaining 7 Commander-in-Chiefs all stood up and revealed looks of disbelief. The expression of the golden-armored man on the square changed greatly. The 5 thunderous drum beats weren't very shocking. What really shocked everyone was that Wang Lin's body hadn't moved at all. The yellow Vice Commander-in-Chief shouted, This is impossible." The Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief thought, "PH, what isn't impossible? As long as it is that Wang Lin, what isn't impossible?" He let out a sigh. If it wasn't for the fact that he was too arrogant and had underestimated Wang Lin like everyone else here, he wouldn't still be injured right now. Aside from the Heaven Commander-in-Chief, the other Commander-in-Chiefs all stood up, and their eyes were like sharp swords as they stared at Wang Lin. Waves of shock and disbelief appeared in their hearts. The Vice Commander-in-Chiefs below them were all completely stunned, and their hearts trembled violently as they stared at Wang Lin. It has to be said that there were people here we could ring it 5 times. There were even people who could ring it 5 times in a row, but the shockwave created when the 5 rings fused into one could be described as heaven shaking. This kind of violent backlash was not something a demon general could withstand. Even the genius demon general, Mofay, could only withstand 3 in a row. If there was a 4th, he would without a doubt lose. Yet Wang Lin was able to ring it 5 times in a row. If the combined shockwave was able to seriously injure Wang Lin or make him retreat in a sorry state, then people might have been willing to reluctantly accept it. However, this person didn't even move at all. He floated next to the demon drum as if he hadn't rang it himself. Or it was as if he was hitting a normal drum, as there wasn't any rebound at all. How? How is this possible? I'm not mistaken, right? He just casually rang it 5 times. There must be a problem here. This cultivator must have used some underhanded method. Yusen spent painstaking effort to ring it 4 times, yet this person just casually rang it 5 times. However, Mofay was about to ring it 8 times, and this person definitely can't do more than that. Endless cries of shock came from the crowd. They weren't unfamiliar with Wang Lin's figure. A few days ago, he was the first person to seriously injure a demon general, engraving his figure into people's minds. However, these ministers, ladies, and various officials of the Sky Demon City didn't think that Wang Lin was that strong. In their eyes, the key reason why AODI lost and was seriously injured was because AODI was too weak. If this Wang Lin had encountered people like Mofay or Shi Xiao, then he would without a doubt have loss. This was something everyone was very confident about. However, now this Wang Lin, who they disliked a lot, was able to ring the drum 5 times in almost a trivial manner. This scene shocked everyone. Some people even suspected that the demon drum was broken. However, they realized they were wrong after seeing that some of the people around them were seriously injured or knocked out, and the demonic spiritual energy in their own bodies was going crazy. The feeling of their demonic spiritual energy almost being shocked out of their bodies immediately dismissed the idea that the demon drum was broken. Also, the cracked square with the demon drum at the center showed just how powerful the impact from before was. To be able to create such destruction on a square reinforced with countless restrictions could only be described as unbelievable. Almost all of the commander-in-chiefs sucked in breaths of cold air. Yu Sen bitterly smiled as he shook his head and completely gave up on the idea of battling Wang Lin. The only female demon general, Xie Lian, was wearing full body armor. Although it was full body armor, it was still extremely revealing, so it showed off her beautiful curves. Her purple gauntlet revealed her pearly white arms. Her top covered her 2 peaks and revealed her slender waist. A black tattoo started from her snow-white neck, went down through her chest, and extended to her waist. Her lower armor was armored leaf blades that circled around her, covering up her plump butt, and her pair of jade legs had greaves covering them. She gave off the feeling of a heroic beauty. This woman was wearing a helmet that covered her face. Only her beautiful eyes could be seen, and they were shining brightly as she looked at Wang Lin. Among the demon generals, Shi Xiao's eyes lit up as he carefully looked at Wang Lin. Chen Dao softly whispered, "I have already said that this person is extremely strong." Shi Xiao let out a cold snort and didn't say a word, but his expression darkened. Among the demon generals, only Mofay didn't look at Wang Lin. Instead, he silently watched the distant horizon. The Da Lu sword sect cultivator stared at Wang Lin with undisguised killing intent. Among all this noise, the golden-armored man's expression was extremely ugly. He looked at the demon drum and his hands clenched tightly into a fist. Wang Lin withdrew his right hand from the drum before turning around and looking at the golden-armored man. All of the noise stopped as he turned around, and all of their gazes gathered on Wang Lin. Wang Lin pointed at the golden-armored man and calmly said, "You lost." The rebound force from beating the drum earlier was blocked by the life seals around Wang Lin's body. However, the rebound was extremely powerful, so it took over 2,000 layers of life seals before this power was completely neutralized. The life seals couldn't be destroyed unless all 3,000 plus seals were destroyed in an instant. Otherwise, they would recover. This was the true strength of the life seals. No wonder that grey-robed All-Seer said that he had 1 billion life seals and that he would be perfectly fine even if planet Tianyun were to explode. A spell with this kind of defensive power is extremely rare. After the golden-armored man heard Wang Lin's words, his expression turned even uglier. He let out a cold snort and said, "I said you could not exceed 5 rings. Are you a fool that can't understand the meaning of my words? You rang it 5 times, and it hasn't exceeded 5. So it is not your win." After he said that, some of the people in the stands felt that this golden-armored chief steward's morals were too low. Wang Lin shot a cold look at the golden-armored man, then his right hand formed a fist and hit the demon drum behind him. Dong! The 6th ring came from the drum and echoed across the square. This ring from the bell caused everyone's hearts to skip a beat. A powerful rebound force suddenly emerged from demon drum as if there was a powerful gust of wind blowing Wang Lin's hair back. The already shattered square immediately began to shake once more as if there was a giant dragon moving underneath it. Wang Lin's right hand didn't stop as he coldly looked at the golden-armored man, whose expression was even gloomier, and punched with his right fist once more. Dong! The 7th sound from the drum echoed across the sky. If the first 6 rings of the demon drum could be considered raging waves, then the rebound force of the 7th ring could be considered a flash flood. Demon General Mofay could ring it 6 times without being injured, but on the 7th time he was forced back and his armor was shattered to pieces. This showed just how powerful the rebound from this 7th ring was. The 7th ring sounded, and at this moment, the sky changed color. A storm gathered with the demon drum as the center and began to spread like crazy. Wang Lin's right hand was motionless and he stood up straight in the air. His right hand was still touching the demon drum as his gaze fell on the golden-armored man. This seventh ring caused thunderous rumbling sounds to occur in the sky, and Wang Lin's voice slowly came out of these thunderous rumbles. 7 times now. The golden-armored man's face twitched as he stared at Wang Lin and said, "I'll recommend you to the Demon Emperor." Wang Lin shook his head and calmly said, "I want one of your hand." "You dare?" the golden-armored man shouted loudly. His eyes were filled with killing intent as shouted, "Say that again. I want one of your hands." At the moment Wang Lin's voice came out, his right hand hit the demon drum again. Dong! The 8th ring from the drum spread out like tens of thousands of waves. This ring echoed with Wang Lin's words and began to spread like crazy in all directions. "I want one of your hands." At this moment, it was as if that was the only sound left in this world. This was because Wang Lin had used the power of the 8th ring from the demon drum to affect the heavens. Thunderous roars echoed in the sky as if the sky was about to collapse. Among the deafening, rumbling sounds, that sentence felt like it wasn't said by Wang Lin but by the heavens. The earth. It was like a roar from the world. It was as if God had opened his eyes to look over the land. This sound represented the world. The heavens and earth fused with the sound of the drum to form that sentence. Although that sentence wasn't as loud as thunder, it was more shocking. This unimaginable force caused the golden-armored man's expression to suddenly turn pale. He involuntarily took a few steps back, his ears buzzed, and his face turned deathly pale. At that moment, he had the illusion that he was facing the world. The demonic spiritual energy inside his body went crazy, and he even had a trace of an impulse to cut off his own arm. The surrounding people were all shocked. They no longer had the courage to talk like before, so the entire square was abnormally quiet. Aside from a few select individuals among the spectators, everyone else knew without a doubt that if Wang Lin had said that to them just now, they would have cut off their own arms. That sound just now was the might of the heavens. That sound just now was law, the majestic and dominating words from the heavens. Among the demon generals, Mofay moved his gaze away from the sky and onto Wang Lin for the first time. Among the commander-in-chiefs, aside from the Heaven Commander-in-Chief, who still hadn't looked at Wang Lin, the other 7's expressions changed slightly. Their eyes revealed mysterious lights as they looked at Wang Lin. Words that evoke law. The 7 commander-in-chiefs looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. None of them noticed that at the moment that voice came, the Heaven Commander-in-Chief's always closed eyes opened slightly and revealed a hint of confusion. Among the Vice Commander-in-Chiefs, the Yellow Vice Commander-in-Chief was completely startled, and the Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief let out a sigh. The golden-armored man's face was completely pale, but he quickly recovered. He stared at Wang Lin and slowly said, "Your voice fused with the power of the drum and thus borrowed the power of the heavens. Unfortunately, you borrowed the power of the demon drum. If you could achieve words that evoke law with your own strength, then forget about my arms. Even if you wanted my life, I'd willingly hand it over. However, right now it is impossible for you to take my arm." The golden-armored man took a deep breath before looking at Wang Lin and shaking his head. "If you can ring it 15 times, then I swear to the sky demon that I'll cut off my arm for you. If you can't do it, then shut up. If you continue to be noisy, don't blame me for dealing with you." The golden-armored man let out a cold snort. Wang Lin coldly looked at the golden-armored man. This man's cultivation level was very high. When Wang Lin withstood that golden lance, he could tell that this man's cultivation level was at the peak of the mid-stage of Ascendant, only one sliver away from the late stage. Although this person's cultivation level was only one level above the Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief's, to Wang Lin, this level was an extremely wide gap. This was only secondary, though. The most important thing was that the spell the golden-armored man cultivated was extremely tyrannical. When Wang Lin withstood the Sun Lance, he immediately noticed the mysterious force behind that power. This golden-armored man's spell was related to the Yang Flame. This spell combined with his cultivation made him stand at the top of mid-stage Ascendant cultivators. He was even strong enough to fight against an average late-stage Ascendant cultivator. Unless he met a titled Ascendant cultivator, it would be very hard to defeat him. Of course, Battling this person during day and night times would also differ greatly. If it was at noon, then Wang Lin would lose without a doubt. But if Wang Lin were to battle him at night and in a place with powerful yin energy, it would be easier. Wang Lin drew his gaze and no longer bothered with the golden-armored man, then his gaze fell on the demon drum instead. He had already rung it 8 times, and the rebound from the 8th time had broken through almost 3,000 layers of life seals. Even if Mofay can't enter, I have already rung it 8 times. At most I only need to ring it once more to enter top 10 and not continue. If I go further and get injured, it won't be worth it. However, when I ring this demon drum, it stirs my mind. It gives me the same feeling that I get when I listen to the zither music by the riverside. Could it be that ringing this drum also helps my Tao? Ringing this drum doesn't follow my Tao, but the rebound the drum gives is a type of defying. The force I use to ring the drum is following the heavens' will, but the rebound is defying the heavens. This following and then defying creates a mysterious heavenly cycle. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light as he stared at the demon drum. At this moment, he no longer hesitated, he took a deep breath and hit the drum. Dong! The 9th ring came from the drum. The rebound from the drum entered his body like a flood. This was a defying force, and as it passed through Wang Lin's body, the life seals that were gathered on his body quickly shattered. 100, 800, 1,000, 2,200, 3,400. Until more than 3,600 life seals dissipated. Although this force had been weakened greatly, more than half of the remaining force was still charging at Wang Lin. More than 3,700 life seals completely collapsed for the first time since Wang Lin obtained them. As the last life seal collapsed, the rebound force pierced into Wang Lin's body and moved within his meridians. It was as if Wang Lin's body was in a giant storm, as his body and clothes were violently fluttering backwards. His body involuntarily retreated backwards. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. Until the 19th step, where Wang Lin's right foot took a step back and he stopped himself. His face turned red and took a few moments before returning to normal. After seeing this, the golden-armored man's heart relaxed a bit and a sneer appeared once more on his face. He thought to himself, this child can't possibly ring it 15 times, this is just the 9th time and he is reaching his limit. I can confirm that 10 times is his limit. The surroundings were completely silent. No one dared to talk after the 9th ring from the bell echoed across the square. This result surpasses the number 1 demon general, Mofay, and everyone knew that from this day onward, the name Wang Lin will shine in the Sky Demon country. It has to be said that the Demon Emperor didn't care about where people are from. Wasn't the Heaven Commander-in-Chief also a cultivator? No one talked, and their eyes were all gathered on Wang Lin. Mofay stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's change in these past few months was simply too great. 9 times. I can't do it. Mofay let out a bitter sigh. As Wang Lin stood at the center of the square, all of the surrounding gazes gathered on him, but he completely ignored the gazes. Right now his expression was gloomy and unsettled, and he slowly frowned. After the rebound force was weakened by more than 3,700 layers of life seals, the amount that entered his body wasn't much. He only had to cycle a bit of his celestial spiritual energy to return to normal. But at the moment the rebound force entered Wang Lin's body, he immediately felt a strange aura within the rebound force. It contained an unyielding spirit and the dominating feeling of going against the heavens. The rebound force came from this unyielding and extremely arrogant aura. Anyone that dared to provoke it would suffer its relentless attack. Even if the sky collapsed on it, it would hold the sky up and then pierce it. This was the intent from this aura, Wang Lin muttered, defying. I was wrong before. Using the life seals to resist this defying force was the same as resisting my own defying nature in my heart. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious force. Then his entire person became very refined as he silently looked at the demon drum. At this moment, the Heaven Commander-in-Chief once again opened his eyes slightly and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin pondered for a long time before taking a step forward, then another, and another. After 19 steps, he arrived before the demon drum. Wang Lin didn't immediately ring the drum but used this palm to gently touch it, feeling its rough surface. Slivers of unyielding intent slowly entered Wang Lin through his palm. He slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, he seemed to fuse with the demon drum, and his aura slowly disappeared. The golden-armored man frowned, then he sneered and said, trying to act all mysterious, "Huh? If just touching the drum would let you ring it 15 times, then the servants cleaning the drum every day could ring it over 100 times. Ridiculous." He wasn't the only one who had this though, even the commander-in-chiefs all frowned as well. The Xian commander-in-chief was quite puzzled. What is this child doing? One of the commander-in-chiefs chuckled. Can this cultivator communicate with the demon drum? The only female among the commander-in-chiefs, the universe commander-in-chief, softly said, he is not communicating with it, but comprehending it. When I rang the demon drum, I also felt the aura within it. Could it be that you all have forgotten? After she said that, the commander-in-chief's expressions became serious. The officials watching from the stands could no longer keep silent and all began to softly whisper. Among the demon generals, Mofay's eyes lit up and he stared at Wang Lin. He softly said, "Could it be that you felt that aura too?" At the moment Wang Lin closed his eyes, that unyielding aura became clear. This aura slowly gathered in his body and fused with his origin soul. He was completely immersed in this aura, and he thoroughly integrated himself with the demon drum. I'm not supposed to resist the defying aura from the drum, I'm supposed to merge with it instead. If I can comprehend this defying aura, then this rebound won't be able to injure me and instead will help refine my body. Wang Lin opened his eyes. His eyes were now filled with clarity as he raised his hand and gently let it fall. Dong. The 10th ring from the drum echoed across the square. Wang Lin's body was immediately met with an unimaginable force from the drum. At this moment, Wang Lin withdrew his life seals, allowing the force to directly enter his body. The rebound force moved through his body like crazy, and black drops of sweat came out from the pores of his body. Wang Lin felt the refreshing feeling of his body being purified. It was a feeling that he hadn't felt since he reached the foundation establishment stage. However, this feeling didn't last long. The force inside his body suddenly became violent. As it moved through Wang Lin's body, it caused his face to turn pale. Marrow cleansing. This child is using the demon drum to cleanse his marrow. The various commander-in-chiefs were shocked. Not only them, but cries even came from the demon generals. Shi Xiao's gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with killing intent. He raised his hand many times but hesitated and then lowered it. The golden-armored man's eyes became cold as he sneered and thought, "Marrow cleansing. This old man has followed the demon emperor for a long time, and the demon emperor did say that you can cleanse your marrow with the sound of the demon drum. However, that is only if you have a high enough cultivation level. Otherwise, if you try to cleanse by force, you will only seriously injure yourself." The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes were now half open. He revealed a hint of disappointment and then closed his eyes once more. At the moment the Heaven Commander-in-Chief closed his eyes, he sighed in his heart. There isn't any need to observe this child anymore. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale, but his eyes were bright. There is some consciousness within this demon drum's defying force. If I were to completely fuse with it without a second thought, then although it would be considered defying, it would still be the path of the demon drum and not my own. I was injured by the marrow cleansing not because my cultivation is lacking, but because my Tao is different. In this world, whether it is cultivators or other creatures, as long as they cultivate to defy the heavens, they all have their own defying nature. Although it is only the word defy, everyone has their own comprehension, and there are countless Tao for it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up like they never had before. Although his expression was pale, at this moment, it was as if his domain had fused with his body. The light in his eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced by sadness and loneliness. Then he raised his right hand and gently touched the demon drum. Dong. The 11th ring came from the drum. At this moment, a sad aura spread out from the drum. It echoed across the square, spreading far enough to even affect Sky Demon City. The sadness in the echo from the drum was like the sadness of the zither music. It moved the heart. The sadness entered his soul formed a will, the will beat the drum, and the drum spread his Tao. The sound of the drum contains intent. Impossible, This is impossible. How could this person achieve this? This is absolutely impossible. For the first time, the golden-armored man's expression completely changed. He subconsciously took several steps back and stared at Wang Lin. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief for the first time completely opened his eyes and stood up to look at Wang Lin. In the entire square, the only person who had his attention was Wang Lin. This video will end here.